Okay. Graham Hill, Soho, New York City. I just have one of my questions, Graham, is I've been thinking a lot about the environmental space, and there seems to be two camps almost of thought in terms of what's happening with the world. On the one hand, you have like the James Howard Kunstler, the writer camp, Bill McKibben, 350. There seems to almost be this sort of apocalyptic sense of what's going on in the world. On the other hand, you have people like Ray Kurzweil, the techno guru, and Peter Diamandis from the X Prize Foundation, and they seem to think that we're on the precipice of sort of positive, amazing change. Mm-hmm. So my question is, Graham, in that sort of continuum of thought, are you more thinking that the paradise that we need is coming, or that we're going to pave over paradise and have sort of a burnout parking lot?
Wow, that's a tricky one. I think it's more fun to be on the Ray Kurzweil, Peter Diamandis side of the equation, to be honest. So I'd like to stick with that, but I do think it's quite serious, and I do think it's very conceivable that things will get a lot worse before they get better, sadly. So I don't know. I think it's really hard to say how it'll go. I mean, we get some, not to be too much of a technological optimist, but we find some amazing technology that can compete with oil, and all of a sudden things could really change. So it's very, very hard to predict. I think life's a little bit more fun to be optimistic about it, and maybe backed by some certain sense of urgency by the other side of that continuum, that stuff really has to happen, and we should be pushing this forward. So I hope I skated that one well.
No, it does. I mean, I personally go back and forth, but I try to lend my emotions towards the positive side, because I feel like we can be practically negative, but if there's not a little bit of inspiration and positivity there, it's just too stressful.
Yep.
There. My second question, and then I just have one more question, and then wanted you to just give me a few comments about what you wanted to say. Is your LifeEdited project is amazing, and I think your message about consuming less and being more sensitive about our carbon footprint and how we live our life is really important. And essentially, it seems your idea is less is more in the LifeEdited project. But how do we translate that and that concept in our actions to dealing with people who really have so little that they do need more, people that need more food or really don't have a secure place to live over their head? How do we make our actions in like a LifeEdited sense translate into helping those people in extreme poverty and like who really do need more? I don't know the answer to it. I'm just curious as to how you look at that.
Well, I guess, actually I had an idea for a long time about a site or a project called Instead. And the idea there would be that often you can choose a lesser option. So you choose to stay in a smaller, cheaper hotel, or you take the subway instead of a taxi or whatever. And basically that difference could be given to someone. And so conceptually, if you're living a smaller life and saving money and have a lower footprint, then that leaves you with a little more, and maybe you could give that. But I mean, I'm certainly not trying to tell people at the lower end of the wage scale that they can't get more. I mean, it's very clear that happiness spikes pretty rapidly from 0 to 30-40K a year, and then starts to taper off, and then at 70 or 80 really flattens out. And so I think really the idea is sort of those of us that are in the 60, 70, 80K and above are actually about as happy as we're going to get. And so being able to be more free with your time and your money to help those in the lower parts, I think it's a really good way to go.
Great. No, great answer. Absolutely. Very balanced. Graham, do you want to say anything to the EcoWatch audience about LifeEdited, or do you want to say anything personal to us so that we can help spread the news about?
Sure. I mean, I think the basic idea, which I'm sure you guys are into, is if you can we have the beautiful thing about architecture is you actually can do something about your footprint, and it's not that sort of high tech. So the basic idea is apply behavior change, design and technology to allow yourself to live in a less but better lifestyle, and that's going to reduce your footprint and save some money, and I think make you happier. So I think a lot of green these days. People equate green with recycling, and that's really a small part of the picture. Heating and cooling and transportation are really big, and so really sort of understanding on a personal level and for your friends and people you can influence that architecture is actually really important, and the really boring things like good windows and great insulation and learning to use your thermostat in a smart manner, and your air conditioning if you have it, that sort of stuff actually makes a real difference and can reduce your footprint. So I think we got to get people onto that boring, non-sexy stuff for the environment, but also it's also a great way to save money. So there you go, EcoWatch.
Great. Well, everyone check out LifeEdited.com and what Graham Hill's up to, and we thank you so much for your history of starting TreeHugger and everything you've been doing to raise consciousness.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks. I think that's good.